Namaste, everybody out there. What's going on? Hope you're having a good Wednesday. This is Magick, and today I have a very special guest. I want you to help me welcome fellow practitioner, and she's also been on the Galactic Talk with Aiiyah G. Please welcome Aiiyah Montero. Namaste. How you doing, sister?
I'm good. You know, just dealing with the shifts.
Okay. All right. So glad to have you here. So for those people who are viewing this, who do not know who you are, please introduce yourself.
So I'm Aiiyah Montero. I'm a practitioner. I was born psychic and basically had to learn my abilities over time and how to ground and connecting. I wouldn't say it's like control, it's more like communication. I would say it's more communication and control. I think that's a big misnomer, but anyway. So yeah, I do energy healing. I don't do Reiki per se because
Your sound went out. Your sound.
I don't know how to. All right, is it sounding okay now?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you kind of went out.
That was weird. Always when I get on anything with electronics want to act up.
Right.
So yeah, basically I do energy healing, tarot, mediumship. I do higher self channeling sometimes too, because sometimes people have a really hard time connecting with their higher selves. Courses, just different things, everything centered around spirituality and around getting people in alignment with themselves and around their own, I call soul sovereignty. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Sounds good. So how long have you been a practitioner? So you've been in this since birth?
Well, yeah, but I was not directed to start working with clients until maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
I really went through almost over 10 years of meditation. I was meditating 6 hours a day. And then after almost a year after I had my Kundalini activation, that's kind of when spirit was like, all right, you're ready, let's go. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. I tried to look for jobs and everything, mundane stuff, nothing went through at all. So then I just went to spirit and I was like, well, what do you want me to do? And spirit's like, you know what to do. Get into your spiritual work, start helping people, the people that need the help or that want it really.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you said that, because people nowadays, they just rush into it. They don't take the time to build a foundation or anything like that. You said that your Kundalini activated. Would you care to share how that happened to you? How was that experience?
Well, I believe the reason why I had people don't really have Kundalini activations, and I think that's because they just don't meditate enough. I really went through anywhere from 3 to 6 hours a day of just meditation. I fit it in any way I can, and I would go into these realms. And in order to activate your abilities and your gifts, you need to purge and release a certain level of trauma. And not just childhood trauma, although starting with this lifetime is good. It also is ancestral trauma. There also is past life trauma and soul wounds, and just going through that dark night of the soul. People don't understand. People think they're depressed just because based on what's going on here, and it's like, no, you're when I say depression is the soul needing deep rest. Soul needing to go within self and to not be afraid to release those very unbalanced, because I don't think low vibrational is necessarily bad. I just think it's when it's an unbalanced energy, it creates unbalance within the self, especially spiritually. So I did not know what a Kundalini activation was, even though I have all these years of listening to lectures, studying, energy work, just working on myself for all those years. I had to call one of my homeboys from Atlanta. He lives in the swamps out there though, and he's indigenous too. I'm calling him up. I said, something's happening. There is fire from my, my
Yeah, I get it.
inside all the way to my whole body. And it also spread to my arms and my legs. Everything. Full fire. I didn't know what. I'm laying in the bed and I'm like, help, what's going on? And he's like, sis, calm down. You're okay. This is a Kundalini activation. And I was like, oh, okay, I know what's happening now. But it was like I would say like almost 3 hours, maybe more, of just fire. I was like literally sweating. And it clears out old energies. That's kind of what I got from it. And then it also activates some of your more spiritual gifts. It brings you to a higher frequency. So that's what sometimes I get frustrated, because I'm like, you guys are going to people who just got into tarot, don't know how to protect their energy, don't know how to, have never had any sort of activation. Like, they're just doing it because it's a trend. And it's like, for people like myself, it's not a trend. We're not just going to get freaked out because shit got real. And let me run back to Jesus. He's going to help me. Like, baby, he's not going to help you. You're going to run back. You'll feel unbalanced.
Oh, I think you.
But even if you do need to go back to the church, I don't actually have an issue with that, because I believe that Christianity, the positive aspect of it is actually that it fosters discernment, which is really important when you get into different levels of these deeper levels of like the mystery, and the wisdom. You need that discernment, because there's a lot of false spirits, false realities, and even the lower astral plane is just full of very unbalanced, manipulative, parasitic energies. Right. You think you're talking to a whole angel, and you're talking to a whole parasite. Absolutely. You think you talk to ancestors, and you're talking to a parasite that's an imposter spirit. So you got to know and have that discernment to understand the difference. Absolutely. And I would say that when you start connecting with your heart chakra, and you start going even into primordial chakras, and if you want to talk about that, it's something I discovered through meditation. Then you start connecting with the true self. And once you know your true self, your soul not being anything, it's an energy. And it's honestly something that goes even beyond energy, because it would be more of because I'm in New Orleans, men out here, women out here, they understand music better. And I was sitting on a one day, and I'm talking to this guy, and we start getting to this conversation of like, what's the soul? And I said, music does not exist if there's not a space of silence between the notes and the beat. Right. So soul exists in that space of silence. And then everything, the noise, the frequencies, that expression is the expression of the soul. So that's how I broke it down. And he totally, and this is just a regular hood dude, totally understood what I'm talking about, because I used a medium that he can understand music. Right. Yeah.
Excellent. I was going to save that question, but you kind of answered it, because I was going to ask you, I was going to save it for later. I was going to say, there's a current trend of TikTok witches. And I speak about this all the time, about people rushing into this and just not knowing what the hell they're doing. They going to other people who do not know what the hell they're doing. Right. And it's trendy, and everybody's now all this vibes and toxicity and you need to do shadow work. You need to heal. I was going to ask you what your opinion was, but you kind of already answered.
Yeah. And we can go deeper with that conversation too, because honestly, people don't know how to do shadow work. Thanks. Shadow work, if you talk to anyone who is native, they don't call it shadow work. They call it facing the self. You're only facing yourself. It's trendy to call it shadow work. It's trendy to do. Some of you don't need to do darkness meditations and stare in the mirror at yourself. You will see a part of yourself that will scare the shit out of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bravo. Bravo.
They're not there yet. They're not.
Yeah, I say that all the time, and I get so sick of seeing it. I said, if you really truly did shadow work, number one, it's going to scare the hell out of you. Number two, it's going to bring up a whole bunch of shit that you ain't prepared to face. And it's going to bring out a whole bunch of emotions and, stuff that you thought was buried. So
I'm letting the tobacco. This is one of my ancestors. I know it is because she's the one that helps me the most with my magic work. She's old. She'd be like, smoke a cigarette for me. I'm like, all right, old lady, let's do it.
Okay.
So basically, the spiritual death, you really feel like you're going through a death or you're dying. And you can't be afraid of death. You can't be afraid of releasing the old aspects of the self.
Right.
And when you do, and when you are afraid and when you avoid it, it's going to come anyway, especially when you want to play with spirituality and then it gets real. You want to sit, you want to play around with some cards and some crystals. So all of a sudden you're looking at your cards acting like a schizophrenic because the mind is not grounded. You don't have, and there's a trend going around too, where a lot of spiritualists talk about, I don't read books. You're a moron.
I've been saying this, I don't know how long.
Yeah, you're a moron. Books, study, learning from master teachers, learning from Phil Valentine, learning from Bobby Hemmett, learning from the Black Dot, learning from all these really, Sister Myra is amazing. I learned a lot from that lady. Learning from these people, and I just felt the ancestors come in. I knew it. That's why I lit up. I felt it. I feel it through my body right now. I'm getting goosebumps. Learning from individuals that are wiser than you gives you grounding. So that, and reading these books, and it's not to have an unoriginal thought or idea. No, you are going to play with energies and spirits that are false because your mind is unbalanced. You're not grounded in your energy. And I had to sit here and ground before I even got on because I'm having an activation as we speak. Like I've been activating since last night, all night, crying, releasing the old self. Then my man's next to me and he's good man, cuddling me like, it's going to be okay. Why are you crying? What's going on? I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
But what I was feeling through the heart chakra was not even just the purging of things that I don't even remember as a child that bothered me, but energies also. Spirit tends to use me to help cleanse and purge energies from the collective. And I'm not the only one, but you get to a certain level where now you're dealing with universal forces and energies. You're dealing with collective energies. And I'm not the only one that does this. I'm not. I'm just one example. And everybody has the power within themselves to get to that level, but you gotta humble yourself. Self-love isn't narcissism.
Right.
If people are doing self-love by taking a bath, you're a moron. You're doing it backwards.
Right.
You're trying to find spirituality through the physical. Not to say that the two are not interconnected, because they are. But you're not going to get there by looking at, you live in a world of illusion. This is a light show. And then you think what you're seeing is real. This is not, look as if this is real. And everything's inverted. Everything in the world will make a lot more sense to you. You won't be afraid when you see natural disasters, when you see wars, when you see death. You'll go to the higher question and say, okay, spirit, what's going on here? And a lot of times spirit is like, they didn't make the cut. And that's the hard reality and the hard truth. And a lot of people are not going to make the cut. They're not going to make it to the earth. The earth herself no longer wants individuals here who are parasitic, who are soulless beings, whose souls are fragmented. I can see soulless beings. I can see fragmented individuals. I've had that spiritual sight. And when I started seeing soulless beings, it freaked me out because I started seeing an overlay over the person's body, like rotting inside. And then they would look at me like this, and I got all this damn light coming out the top of my head. And I'm like, oh, cloak, help. I gotta call up my spiritual friends that know more than me and be like, help me out. We all need help. We all need a good for like spiritual people that can like be like, listen, this is how you do this. Nobody does this.
Absolutely.
So that's just a lot of like, you think everybody has a soul here? Is half these people like androids.
Yes.
They're doing a robot every day. Swear.
Yes. Automatons. Yes.
Just laughing because, and they will pull at your energy so hard. And you're not knowing, if you're not working with your ancestors first, if you're not working with your spirit team, it may not always be certain guides. Like everybody, like I work with a lot of deaf deities, and I work more with the Loa. I work with the Loa and I work with the Great Mother. That's who I kind of work with. The Loa adopted me. They started coming to me, and I was just like, because I was doing so much healing work on the land here. They were like, yeah. And they watched me for almost 2 years just doing healing work, asking for absolutely nothing in return. Just doing the work, doing the work, feeding ancestors, freeing souls. And healing the energy, raising the frequency. And yeah, it makes normal people act crazy. You get more shootings, you get more killings, you get more death because people are unbalanced. So they're not knowing how to approach, and they have all these really low vibrational, out of balance, parasitic entities that operate with the spirit of violence, that operate with the spirit of egoism and narcissism. I want what I want, and everybody else, what can I get from you? I hate using the term evil, even though that's how people understand it, because evil is really just means very ancient and old. And that's why I said everything here is inverted. So, but in the way people understand it, that is what evil is being unbalanced, is being parasitic. And not to say that we don't all share energy in this reality, because whether you're breathing the air, whether you're eating some food, whether you and your partner, whoever you're with, especially if they're your divine partner, you guys are constantly sharing energy. But there's a respect that practitioners who deal more with the traditional systems understand better than these little TikTok witches and they don't even understand how to deal with nature. You want to control nature, you can't even control yourself. And I hate that control, because it's not manipulation. You learned that from these pale faces. I'm gonna just say it out, and that were alchemists, because all they knew how to do was manipulate energy, especially if they didn't have a soul.
Right.
That was never coming from within an original.
Right.
But when you are a soul being and you operating from soul and from spirit, your energy is original. So you don't need to control anything around you. That's very, very unbalanced masculine energy. You would be in a state of communion, real communion. And then you can get the clouds to disappear. You can call in the wind because you sing to the wind. Yes. I sing to nature and nature responds. That's how you do it. I don't know, this new shit is crazy to me. It's very unbalanced.
I talk about it all the time though. And I've spoken about it several times about, people just, because it's trendy, they're not putting in actual work. Everything that you mentioned, they're avoiding. They're avoiding getting a mentor or a teacher or someone who's wiser than them. They're avoiding actually research. They don't want to read. They think just because they get a certain amount of melanin in their skin, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah. Have they never heard of melanin being poisoned?
Right.
Have you, like, your emotions is energy in motion. Your emotion, when you're doing magical work, will drive the energy. If you are not operating from a space where your emotions are balanced, your magical workings are going to be all over the place. And honestly, a lot of times energy is going to come back and smack the shit out of you. And then you're working from a lower space. So you're like, oh, I just want all this money. Oh, I want all this. That's not what it's all about. I'm not saying don't do your manifestation work. You absolutely deserve to feel comfortable and secure and balanced in your frequency.
Mm-hmm.
That's a form of self-love. That's actually a form of self-love. Right. Secure the self. The root chakra does not deal with survival. Sorry to break it to you. It's not survival. It's security within the self. I am secure with myself. And regardless of what's going on around me, I love me. I feel good with me. It's not this, it's just, and then I don't even really talk about this stuff all the time because I see it every day. It's everywhere. And there's a spiritual sickness, a disease that's all coming from trauma. And then what we have on social media a lot of times is trauma bonding. A lot of people you're not supposed to trauma bond your practitioner. That's extremely unbalanced.
Right.
Then I see a lot of women do this. They come on, it's fear porn. It's all fear, 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 fear. Be afraid of this. Be afraid of that. And then the younger generations are tuning into that energy because of this truther stuff that got extremely unbalanced. And it's just nobody's going within and looking at self. They're looking at the world around them, the world of illusion and lights, and thinking that this is real and forgetting that I am real.
Right.
I exist. I am love.
You said a mouthful. You really did. Thanks for that. That was an excellent answer. Thank you. You already answered the other question. I was going to ask you, was there a magical system you gravitate towards the most? But I'm going to assume, since you said the Loa, that would be Haitian voodoo, right? And you said Great Mother. Okay.
And I would probably operate more as hoodoo because I can actually talk to all these spirits directly. So like, and honestly, I talk to Baron Samedi most of the time. Like he's like my favorite, but I was talking to my mom, Brigitte, last night. Like she came through and started talking. And me and her were having a really good conversation. She was like, let me jump in your body and have a cigarette real quick. I'm like, girl, ain't nobody jumping in my body tonight. I'm healing. But we had a good conversation. Talked to the Baron. People don't understand that these entities and these spirits are family. You talk to them the same way you would talk to anybody outside.
Right.
Different. A lot of your ancestors are gods and goddesses. A lot of them aren't. A lot of them is still unbalanced and they need healing. And then if you're working with your ancestors, for me, I'll put a prerequisite on it. I'll be like, listen, just the ones that are balanced and at a high frequency or balanced frequency. The ones that can help me with this. The ones that can help me with this that matches that energy. Because you don't want drunk Uncle Earl.
Something went.
They don't want to put smoking. Be doing bullshit and you're like, why didn't it work? You just called in the wrong ones. Call in the ones that are more balanced. He's good for when, lessons from his life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another trend that's going. I see that a lot. I see people are just saying now, matter of factly, I had a conversation with Urzuli last night, or Ogun, my dude. That's another trend. You know what I'm saying? But people who do it for real, I mean, people don't disclose that like that. You see what I'm saying? Right. That's why I'm always telling people to use discernment. Use discernment because a lot of people are full of shit out here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So do you have any advice for anyone who sees that and don't know how to discern whether someone is actually, seeing these spirits? I'm sorry.
Use your heart. I would say use your heart. So your heart chakra is not just green. You have a primordial chakra, which is like a black dot. So a lot of the masculine thought was that your soul comes in through your pineal gland. I don't believe it. Like, I don't really roll that way, because from what I've gotten through you can bring down a lot of channels through the pineal gland. Those are people who are more claircognizant, and where they just know things and they don't know why. Right. But it's like, you know, it. Usually those are people, as they're speaking, they start talking because they're kind of in a channel while they're speaking, and they're teaching you stuff. And then they'll be like, wait a minute, I didn't even know I knew that. Like, where did that come from? So if you are more healed and you don't have all these blockages and trauma, and it's like a gunk, that buildup in the heart chakra becomes like a gunky energy. And it moves very slow. And because people are afraid to go and deal with their emotions and balance that out, and they're taught a lot of times to close out the heart or to use it in an unbalanced way, that you can tell when someone is unbalanced by their relationships, how they communicate with people. Is every person that they're coming in contact with, or that they fall in love with or whatever, like, is it always that person's fault that the relationship ended? That's the one that's unbalanced in their heart. They're always going to be playing the victim, and they're always going to be they're going to talk about trauma, but they're never going to talk about how they healed their trauma. They're going to be like, this happened to me, I went through all of this, but then they never go, yeah, but I might have went through all this, but this is how I healed it. And you can do that. So you want to kind of look out for that. Also, once you really do the healing within self, so when you get to the black dot, or the primordial chakra that is behind the heart chakra, it's like darkness. I would even say it's almost like a dark plasma sometimes, or dark water. So you can breathe into that energy, and then to bring it out, you bring it into your body that way. In, hold. But you have to clear everything over that first. Wow. Or you can even start getting into that. But that, once you can connect with that aspect of soul, then it'll be easier to discern, because now you're dealing with a more universal truth, I suppose you could call it. But you're dealing with self in like a deeper way. It's really hard for me to like talk about these concepts, because that in words doesn't really translate, but I try my best.
Right. I got you.
Yeah.
So we got a question in the chat. Delroy Johnson asks, any suggestions how to identify a trickster spirit?
Not every trickster spirit is bad.
Not at all.
You guys ever heard Ishu or Papa Legba? He will trick the hell.
I always say that Papa Legba he's like a wise old uncle who Absolutely. He's teaching you so that you can learn from it, but not in a malicious way. That's the way I always describe Papa Legba, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's how one of the first spirits I noticed that was in like a human body here was an old man. So I'm going when I first got to New Orleans, I'm going to the store. It's like literally my first week here. I see an old man with a beer, and I'm walking into the store, and he's like, hey, do you want me to buy you a beer? And I was like, thank you so much, but I'm okay. But then after, that's Papa Legba coming through that dude. I should have took the offering. So I was like, I messed up. Because I didn't get it right away. You know what I mean? And then after I was walking out the store, I'm like, but that was him, like literally, that's a form of opening the way or welcoming you into a city that he dwells in, an area that he dwells in. So then I just gave him within my heart, when I realized it, I was just like, thank you so much. I really appreciate you just welcoming me like that. That's really a beautiful energy. So it's not so much the trickster, because the trickster teaches you lessons, but they seem like the villain. Like if any of you have seen Pan's Labyrinth, the Pan entity with the horns, he seems like he's really bad at first. Like, so watch that movie. But then when you get to the afterlife, he was just testing you to make sure that your soul is still intact. Are you lost in the illusions of the world, or do you remember who you are? What you want to look out for are parasitic entities, only there to steal energy. And you'll know that because after you watch someone's video, after you communicate with someone, after you're around someone for a while, you'll feel very energetically drained. Or you may start to be irritated or take on the spirits that are on them. So that's how these archonic or parasitic entities work. They jump from person to person. So say you get cut off in traffic or something like that. And you're typically like a peaceful person. You don't really get mad about stuff like that. But all of a sudden you feel really irritated. Like you want to curse that person out. Not you. You got to know when an energy is not yours. That's that spirit jumping on you. Wanting to, let me open up. Because when you're unbalanced and when you can't control yourself and your emotions, your chakra is wide open. Your energy body becomes wide open. So that's too why you have to heal your trauma. Because then you become balanced and those parasitic entities no longer have access to your energy body the way that they used to. Obviously, protection work is important, protecting your energy. But the one thing I noticed is the more that I healed, the less that these entities and energies had access.
Great answer. Great answer. Okay. So would you consider yourself, okay, let me word this a different way. Do you have a title? Do you call yourself a bruja or anything like that?
A little bit of things. A little bit of, I don't really ever give myself, I just never, because I've always been like this. I've been like this. I was crossing spirits over at 6 years old, literally opening portals. The spirits would come to me. I could see them. My family didn't know because I realized that my family couldn't see them. Mm-hmm. So I'm talking like my family thinks I'm talking to imaginary friends. No, I'm talking to spirits. I'll get spirit coming over. Hey, can you help me get to the other side? I knew what that meant. I open a portal. I help them over to the other side. Then I close it. I even knew to close it. I'm talking to trees. Trees are telling me like stories and all kinds of stuff. This is happening as a little kid. So like, and somebody's heart chakra is really out of balance. Thank you, Spirit. And bring in some Venus energy too. So it's a little easier to heal.
Somebody who's watching?
Yeah, somebody that's watching. I can feel it. Like when people are out of balance, even when I do my own lives. And that is my light language. Light language, I just call it heart speak. Because it's just a language that comes from the heart. And when you get in tune with your soul, you can do that. So I don't use regular language. I use heart speak.
Heart speak.
My heart. Yeah, for my soul.
I like that.
But yeah, I could just feel it. I just felt it. I'm like, ooh, somebody's a little out of balance. Let me help them feel better and heal. So that, because I guess the conversation is activating them, whoever's in the chat, and they're actually purging.
Y'all hear that? Someone who's, there's a couple people in here. And Anubis, the opener of ways, has a question for you. She says, hello. And she says, have you worked with Kabbalistic magic?
Not often. I don't think I see it. I study the system, but it's just not, it doesn't really resonate with me.
It doesn't resonate, right.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with Darth, but Darth or Doth, that's black dot behind the heart chakra. That's the other side. That's the real world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't resonate. It doesn't resonate. And I always say, just because I know a whole bunch of systems, I did it for my elevation, for my ascension. You know what I'm saying? There's some systems I don't resonate with. I mean, but yeah, it doesn't resonate with everybody. But I felt, and I'm directing my thoughts to Anubis. I thought that, since Kabbalistic magic runs everything, this is what the so-called Jews use. I felt the need to study it and learn it. So you know what I'm saying? So
absolutely. Yeah. And you got to know what your enemy's doing, period. You got to, that's why I would study them. But if it doesn't resonate with me, I'm not going to use it in my work.
Right.
I don't need to do everything. And I think that's a problem too, is that everybody thinks these things are trendy, like Jamaica and this and that. But yeah, everyone's like, it's trendy, so I'm going to use it. But these are actually forms of magic. They're manipulation. They're not true magic.
Right.
True magic comes from the soul. It's an energy. It's a beauty.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it feels way better. It's like organic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Excellent answer. Excellent. How long have you been reading tarot?
I started that, honestly, I read tarot. I want to say it has to be 3 or 4 years. It has to be maybe 4 or 5 years by now. It's been such a flow. I started reading tarot not for me because I was already psychic, but I started learning the system because I realized that my clients, the physical confirmation actually assists them more. Like if somebody, like I work with people where they are. So there's like not a judgment that, oh, you're at this level. Right. Or I always try to find a way, and this took me a lot of time to learn how to do, but to find a way to convey the message from where that person is. So it's considering who your audience is or who you are speaking to.
Right.
Because if I'm talking to somebody and they just understand basketball, I better learn a little bit about basketball so I can give them the concepts through a way that they understand.
Right.
So even if you're not into something, don't think that everything's just boring. Look into different things that you normally, that maybe even are a little below your frequency, that you normally would never even be into, so that when you come across these people and spirit brings them to you, you know how to communicate with them. So I got tarot because, not for me, but because there was and now I love using my cards for real. Like I do readings for myself pretty much every morning. Every day I might pull a couple just to see what the energy is, or I'm just meditation and I'm feeling into the energy so that I know how I have to operate that day.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I have to, because when I don't, I notice things come out. Like my life will be like way chaotic, like too chaotic, too energies. And I'm like, you didn't meditate this morning, or you didn't sit with your cards, spiritual contemplation. So then I'm not aware, you know?
Right. Do you have a favorite deck? Which deck do you use?
I use, honestly, this is one of them. The Isis Oracle is beautiful.
That looks nice.
And I love set. I do. I actually channel her through these cards. So when it comes up, I hold the card and I feel into the energy and I channel a personal message. So this is one of the only decks I do that with. I can do it with my Beyond Lemuria, but these are, it's almost a tie between the two of them, but I can show you some of these. These are beautiful cards. And the way this person is an artist, like I won't even read what they said about the cards. I'll just get the messages from them because it's super long-winded. And I'm like, all right, we need to cut to the chase, because even if you read cards, the energy on the card is not going to be what they said online. It's going to be what it needs to be for that moment. Is this spirit is bringing through. So like, for an example, this one, Full Spectrum.
Okay.
So
it's beautiful.
And I just picked this out. I did shuffle them real quick. That's kind of what we're doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here, like I had an activation the other day where my crown was super, super high, cutting through like high. But then I felt my feet feeling like the energy, like I'm connecting to the center of the earth at the same time. So super high and super grounded. And I am you as that being that pillar to connect the energy in between. That's why it's not all high frequency love and light. You got to get down low too. Crazy that this one. Yeah, because I don't think low vibrational energies are bad. I just think it needs to be balanced. There's nothing bad about that. That's why I go into those energies. That's why I deal with my death deities. I might do some low vibrational shit sometimes. But I have to be in alignment with these. And it looks crazy to people, trust me. Yeah. But I'm a certain energy that you may not understand.
Right.
Unless you're in tune with it. Because yeah. And this one, I guess you guys got to get in tune with nature again. Furried and feathered friends. That's really just getting in tune with nature. Very important right now to not be on social media too much and to not be dealing with matrix and false realities. Look, I'm doing a whole reading by accident.
You're fine.
Yeah, home is where the heart is. This actually deals with Sirius. And you see, she's Lyrian too. When this card comes out, understanding that you're also a cosmic being, that you have other lifetimes in different places. I've met so many Lyrians, so many. And Lyrians are like warriors, very loyal. It seems like they're always fighting through lower vibrational energies. But when a Lyrian because of what they went through with what I have channeled with galactic history, I channel through the Great Mother. So like when I get messages, I get them from her. That's who I deal with. That's the only being I'm going to deal with. And then when I started seeing an explosion of the Great Mother, even though no one ever talked about her, like I've been working with her for years, and I'm like, and then I go to Mother and I'm like, Mother, do you know these people? She's like, I don't fucking know them. Like, I don't know who these people are. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Thanks. She's like, yeah, I don't know. But some people will channel the aspects because the Great Mother, just like your own soul, is multidimensional. It's you have universal aspects. You have what they call ET, but it's not really ET. You may have mermaid aspects. You may have, oh my gosh, there's so much. It's like you may have fairy aspects, nature spirits. You might be part of the Twa people. You might have had, and it all adds in to the multidimensional nature of your soul. So the Mother also is that way. So certain aspects of her, certain people can channel through, but it's what they're ready for. A lot of times though, people bring her through and they think they're bringing her through. They're not, because they're operating in an ego-based way. So I got that like a lot. I was like, oh, okay. And then, the Portal Keeper.
Portal Keeper. I like that artwork.
The artwork is dope. And this is giving me some Egyptian energies. There's some of you that do hold on and keep portals that are here right now. Manifestia, isn't that beautiful?
It is.
All about manifesting whatever you want itself. But yeah, so there's these cards, and then and they have doper cards than those, but I guess that's what wanted to come out. I'm gonna just pull two from this, the Isis Oracle. These cards called to me. Literally, I was in Tennessee. I had an ex-boyfriend that I stayed with there. In Tennessee, he ended up keeping my old deck. And I was like, damn it. Because he kept my old deck, my old Isis Oracle. Okay. I come here, this deck came right back to me. Like, it took like 2 seconds. I was like, oh, you really didn't want to go anywhere, did you? She was like, nah, pick me up again. I'm not doing this. Flower of Life, divine creativity and manifestation. So your collective and who you have on here, they really do the work. So what I'm picking up from this is they have access to a higher level of creative energy. And right now there's been a lot of sacral chakra energy clearing for men and women. I always say men have like an energetic womb. Men still have access to that energy, but they got to be on a certain level to get there. And I always find that men do not clear out their sacral enough for some reason. Like my male clients, I'm like, you still got a sacral chakra, bro. You're still creative. You got to clear it out. You got to work with that energy too. Because it deals with the immature self, the unbalanced energy. So when you work with your sacral, heal and clear that energy, you grow up your teenage self. The way that you, as a child, would respond to trauma. And you still do it as an adult, but it just comes out a little more smooth. But yeah, your collective has access to a lot of this energy right now, and it's coming through in a really beautiful way. It's coming through. You guys will probably get it as it's spirit saying divine patterning. So not just synchronicities, almost like, patterns, sacred geometry. I'm getting you all seeing that in different aspects of nature and life, and to pay attention when that comes up, because you're getting divine patterning. It's like it's coming through like a tapestry. Wow. Soul retrieval, very important, by the way.
These are some beautiful cards.
Yeah, they are deep soul healing with the goddess. And the thing about this soul retrieval energy, and I love this golden energy, the pink is more like compassion. When you mix pink with gold, you get a very compassionate energy. Gold energy resonates with Christ consciousness. And a lot of your spiritual teachers and even people, when they get to a certain level, their aura will change to be more golden. And gold and black, those are our colors. Primordial energy, Christ consciousness, beautiful energy. So soul retrieval is not only retrieving the lost aspects of the soul, it's also retrieving and pulling in your energy. So like I'll clear my energy a lot, and then I'll go into meditation and I call my energy back cleared and purified. No matter what we're doing, we're always in an exchange of energy with other beings, whether it be good or bad, high vibrational, low vibrational, whatever. You're always going to be exchanging energy. So remember to call that back. And also when I do soul retrievals for clients, I notice that there's a lot of aspects of the child's self that will call back in. And it's beautiful to not see that fragmented anymore. I love bringing them like being the one to facilitate that space of healing with the inner child. Like I'm grateful for what I do. So many beautiful things, and beautiful things from people actually going in and healing. So with your inner child, I always call it a garden of the heart. So there's a heart space that you set it up how you want to, but it's typically like, it's almost like a Garden of Eden for the inner child. And that's how I usually see it. And your inner child is there. Now, if that inner child is still going through abuse or still like really sad, those memories, they don't leave your DNA or your cells until you deal with them. So what you went through as a child, you can go back in meditation, go back in those memories. You be the adult to protect them. You be the one to be like, no, you're not going to touch them. No, you're not going to hurt me anymore. And then you can go to that heart space with your adult self and your inner child, talk to each other, hug it out, and be unified once again. Because that inner child is, once that inner child is healed, I've been healing my inner child for years, stuff still comes up and I'm fine with that. You get better at it over time. Life becomes more beautiful. You're able to see the inner child in others. You're able to connect with nature deeper. You don't have those trauma responses anymore. It's just not going to be a thing that happens. That's really the healing. And I guess spirit just want me to go into that. That's part of soul retrieval. I see a lot of times too, when people come in, you come in kind of like a shooting star. How I see it's like a shooting star, or like a very high, like a souls. When I see them coming into like earth, it's like, oh my God, when Beyonce did Black is King, you remember the kid literally came through as a shooting star and ended up on the beach with the sand?
I never saw it.
Well, I saw it. Oh God, I hated breaking that down. It was annoying, but there were certain aspects that really happened. Sometimes if you're a little more naive or innocent, there'll be these parasitic entities that wait for souls to come in when you literally are burning through lower frequencies to get here. And they'll wait and they'll stop and be like, oh, you got to give some energy to get in. And you don't, but you don't know any better. You're an innocent soul. You have no idea. You don't know what the rules are. And you're like, oh, okay, no big deal. I'll still be able to get my mission done, learn whatever I need to learn, operate. So you give some of it. So I'll have to go in and like clear those energies. They get totally destroyed. And then, and it's like, it's weird how it looks. It's like in bottles and stuff. So there is like a Black spiritual market for energy where there's an exchange of like energy. Like I've seen it before and I've been there and I'm like, whoa, this is real. I don't know, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And the last one here. Oh, enter the chamber of healing.
Okay.
That's that. So this would resonate with something Bobby Hemmett talked about one time about the Temple of Dendera, which has this Hathors there. That's what this is actually representing. And remember, he said to get the original picture, and he said to sit down with it, meditate, and look at that black part in the middle when you're entering it. It'll really take you somewhere else and really bring you to a space of healing. But that's what I'm getting from this.
Mm.
This is what this energy is giving me. Don't be afraid of the dark aspects of the self.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great, great. Okay, we got another question from Fate's Vortex. How should one properly use vortexes, and which way bring things in and remove things?
So vortexes are just portals. When I clear my energy, if I want to do it like really fast, and not everybody's gonna know, I literally use a black hole. It's like a whirlpool. I had to do it last night because there's a way of clearing your energy where you breathe, you hold, and then I pull all the negative energy to this point, right? And then when I breathe out, I release, pull, throw it through a portal and close the portal. You don't want a bunch of your unbalanced energy that you're healing and purging out your body just sitting around you.
Right.
So there's always a way to like get rid of or that's really a form of transmuting the energy. But if you're going to use a black hole like a whirlpool, you still have to close it after. And because I have like a huge heart chakra, and I realize sometimes like I'll clear and do energy work on clients, and I really got to sit and clear it out because I'll have stuff from them in there, and I'll be like, oh, didn't even know you were there. And then I'll be like, oh, why have I been feeling like this for this week? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't sit down and clear. Wait, let me sit down and clear first. I'm tripping right now. So that's how you use them. Now you can create portals to bring certain energies into your space as well. How you set that up is going to be based on you. I'm not telling y'all how I do mine. That's my magic. It's with me. Okay. I get from spirit, and if spirit don't tell me to share, I don't. But you can set that up and bring in really beautiful, helpful, healing energies. Remember that your altars are all portals. Remember that you do need to protect your altars as well. Remember that the body also is an altar at times. You might be eating something for your ancestors. So there needs to be a level of protection, and there should be a level of balanced energies, and also some healing energies there. People want to use these energies to bring in all this mundane stuff, but never use or rarely, I won't say never, but people rarely use them to heal. You know, you can use candle magic to heal, right? Literally, I use a candle magic to clear my aura and my energy. And the candle magic, the way the wax burns and everything, you can literally look at it and know what's going on with your energy body, whatever it is that you might not be seeing when you're just checking in psychically. So that's a way of like checking in with your energy, your aura. Some of your manifestations might be blocked, not from you, but because we're not just dealing with humans here. We're dealing with entities. What they said in the Bible, entities, principalities, and powers. You're literally, it's spiritual warfare. Every day you wake up, get ready for war, because every day. It doesn't mean that it needs to be chaotic and crazy. It could be peaceful war. It could be aligning with peace and aligning just with yourself every day. So that's how you stay, in control and in tune with the energy.
Okay. How was your Mercury retrograde?
It was really good and really interesting. I really like with my spiritual life and stuff, like everything was cool. Like my regular life, it was cool, but my body did a lot of purging. And so I'm channeling one Sunday with the Great Mother. She's like, oh, I got you to clear. And I'm like, all right, cool. When she gives me assignments, I'm on assignment. Whatever it is I'm doing. But it actually clearing those very unbalanced, low frequency energies, because they had to do with child trafficking, abuse, rape, we'll put it that way. I don't want to use, I don't really like to use those terms on these platforms, but I was transmuting the energy for those souls of those children. And I was healing them. And then there is like a heaven for them. Because when you transmute that pain for them, they go to a higher level of existence. It was like this, like a heaven for children.
Okay.
It was beautiful. But I also made myself sick for 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Almost 2 weeks. Yeah. I'm glad I have great soul family members, because I was like, oh, I'm kind of running out of money here, guys. I need some help. They're like, oh, we got you. Don't worry about it. And it was all in the bowels. And it was all like very painful coming from that area, the rectum and that area of the body. Because
what you told me about last week.
Exactly. Because that's the type of trauma that those children went through.
Mm.
It was, I would highly depraved. And just because I'm really good at transmuting energy, sometimes I gotta go to like the lowest stuff. I'm glad I could talk about it without crying finally. I go to like the lowest energy to transmute because, and there's other, and like I said, not the only one that does this. Other people do it too. And just respect to everybody out there that helps out with this type of stuff because it's not easy at all. It's very
traumatic.
It's traumatizing. And thankfully I know how to heal trauma. That's like one of the main things I do. So I can heal it. It's traumatizing even for me because I'm getting the visions. It's like I'm seeing everything through those souls, through their eyes. So I'm getting their visions and I might not feel the physical pain, but even though I kind of technically did, I felt their emotions deeply and I'm crying and it was just like, wow. So that was kind of like, it was like, and then right after when I finally healed from that, because those 2 weeks of those like bowel issues and stuff was that energy still purging out. It's just purging now through the body. Did the spiritual work. Now the physical body has to clear it out too. So after that, I had 1 day of just clearing my own energy and getting these beautiful activations. The clearing was weird. It was weird. It was like very physical and I never had it that physical. But I only had 1 day. And then right after I felt like stronger than ever. Like, and there's been a lot of ups and downs and it's a lot of learning about it. It's learning about how to handle when you get a shift in your energy and when now. So think about where you are now with your psychic abilities and how sensitive you are to energy and take it up a couple notches and take it up a couple notches and maybe a little bit more. Just going to keep sprinkling it on. So as you heal and as you're able to go, but it's like, oh, I got to learn it all over again. So that's kind of how mine went. Like I literally it was like, I'm learning now how I was literally going through activation before I even hopped on here with you. And I was like, okay, let me meditate and ground and, pull that energy in. So it's still an activation and there's a lot of people on the planet going through this. So anybody on here, be very cautious, particular, and aware that the normies who are like just not conscious and aware of this stuff have a lot of those entities they vibrate out of their body. They're purging out. So you're going to see a lot of unbalanced behaviors, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of like, that kind of like really toxic stuff coming out. So just be aware of that and to be aware of when it's happening with you too.
Yeah. Wise advice. We have another question. Hadi asks if we should raise or lower our frequency.
Balance your frequency.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're dealing with high or low frequencies. You just have to balance it. And then wherever you're at. All right. This is how I'm going to explain it. You are multidimensional. If you don't know what the hell is going on in your root chakra, how are you going to be balanced in your crown? These spiritual people who are like, loving that high frequency, make it higher. A lot of them, look. That's how I be looking at them. I be like, y'all are so dumb. I be like, death and darkness, bitch. And like, I'll go just to be a contrarian. I'm like, let's go.
Right.
So you got to know what's going on with the lower energies and the higher energies. Yeah. Why do you think you got the Gede and Vudum? Like, those are our ratchet cousins right there. Come on now. But they get the job done. They get the job done.
Right.
So you got to know what's going on with both. It's all about balance. I heard somebody say before, all frequencies matter. And then remember too, your soul's multidimensional. If your soul is multidimensional, why are you dealing with one frequency? You're just going to deal with that one little sliver of light, because that's what it is. Frequency, music, lights. This is all different frequencies, different levels of light. Some people can, even your psychic abilities and stuff are a level of light. You're sensitive to something that's not seen in the typical physical spectrum, but you're still dealing with light, which is why you can get false channels.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have another question. Things that I dreamed about in the mid to late 90s are coming true now. Any suggestions on what to do or research?
I'm just
pay
pulling
attention. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah.
You can go.
I'm just pulling the answer in from spirit. I'm like, I hope they had them all written down.
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully it was written down.
And then certain things will not come to pass based on the energy, but I feel like it was just for an awareness. It was prophetic, but it's for an awareness. There's certain things that you're not supposed to change.
That's true.
Yeah, but people want to be all like scared of like what they think is like bad. It's not that the energy is bad or good. It's that, listen, I got the channel the other day that this is the time of the Antichrist. And then Spirit's like, I literally had a whole dream and a whole channel about it, but it said it wasn't a person, it's an energy. And it's corruption and a misalignment with the soul on every single level, from the highest of the high to the lowest of the low. Majority of people are corrupted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the energy is. It's a corruption. It's like debaucherous and wicked. And like the real, I mean, and I'm using kind of biblical terms, but that's how the message came across. And I'm like, oh, okay. But it's because it's a purging, healing, and clearing of energy. Right. So everything in the darkness has to come to the light. It has to all be like everything in that root chakra. That's like cleaning up your basement. You threw everything in your house, everything that you didn't want. You just threw it in the basement, turned off the light, acted like it wasn't there. It's still there now. It's starting to stink. So you got to get in there and clean it out, or it like what are we doing here? Lying to ourselves? Like,
right. Got you. We got another question, and this is just, do you have any good book recommendations? Any?
So many. I'm looking at a bunch of books right now.
I got way too many.
Yeah, you go ahead. You I mean, you better with books than me.
I got. Well, if it's a grimoire, I have it.
Yeah. Serpent Power is a good one if you want to learn about your chakras and everything. It's just really dense. You probably got it. Mm-hmm. I knew it.
Yep, I got that one.
Had it. I knew you had it.
Yeah. Serpent Power.
I felt it.
Yeah.
Honestly, it seems I guess you can't really call this like a magical book, but right. I read The Alchemist every once in a while. It's not like the most magical book, but The Alchemist, even though it's simple, that book keeps me in alignment with realizing that you're always going to have challenges in life and they're there for a reason. Also, I read a lot of stuff about the Necronomicon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I even channel their light language, and their stuff is deep.
Yeah.
Deep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when I really got to mess something up, I start using that. But I channel the language for it. So I'll be, people be looking like, yo, what's up with sis? Like, I ain't messing with her today. I could just tell something's going on. Also, too, as you guys deal with the Necronomicon, if you really want to get in, like, because they're just ancient entities. They're all part of us. Take them in parts because they will destroy your whole life. Because I started working with them and stuff starts shifting really fast. You really start shifting. In parts. You ain't got to do it all at once.
Definitely in parts. And you need a guide. You need a mentor with that system.
I waited a long time before even talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
They came to me one day and I saw Yaga Sauce because he's the gatekeeper. So I literally saw him in front and I see this mass of all these entities. They're like primordial, ancient, the eyes, everything. Like they're all behind him like this. And they come in front of me one night in front of my heart chakra and they go, "Can we enter?" And that's how you know you're dealing with a more balanced energy, because they don't just take you over. They actually are really polite and they ask. They're respecting the fact that you're an ancient being as well. There's a level of respect there. And I said, "Yeah, come on in. Let's go. Let the party begin." Man, I was not ready. Oh, also too, y'all be careful dealing with Kali Ma. Her energy's big right now too. When the first time I channeled down her energy, my cells started vibrating. I was like, "Oh, what's going on here?" I had someone hit me up and they were like, "How can I bring?" I don't know why this dude wanted this. "How can I bring more Kali Ma energies, type women around me?" She gave me the craziest ritual for him. Like, I don't even know if he could have got everything. Yeah, I channeled it. I was like, but she was fucking with him. Like, she was like, "All right, you want to bring these women in? I'm going to make this shit as impossible and see how loyal and how dedicated you are to me." She had to do crazy stuff. But when I first brought her in, she's very healing as well. Also, Lilith is a healing energy. People don't realize that. She transmutes like expert transmuter of energy. People only want to go with that dark side, not realizing that Lilith transmutes your dark side, your unbalanced feminine aspect, and brings you to a more balanced place. So with Kali Ma, when I brought her in, it literally felt like my cells were ripping apart, but I was here for it. I was like, "Let's go, let's shift." And she's also, a lot of these dark goddesses are a lot of them are healers. And they may seem scary, but they're coming to expose your egoic false self, to bring you to a space where you really face and see yourself. Even those parts of you that you are embarrassed about, that you were like, "Man, I can't believe I did that," or "Man, or ashamed." Any form of shame is very unbalanced energy. You have to actually bring those parts of yourself in and embrace them and love them and be like, "Okay, non-judgment. I'm bringing you back to the heart. I'm bringing you back into me." So that's how I kind of work with my dark goddesses. Are we paused?
You with me?
Okay, there we are. Yep, I'm
go.
here.
Okay.
I was like, "What's going on?"
All right. I think I was asking, do you still follow like moon cycles or cosmic events? Do you still do that?
Yes and no. I will operate based on my intuition. So sometimes I'll be in meditation and I'll just get the intuition of, check what's going on with the planets right now. And I'll check and I'll be like, okay, this is the energy I have to work with. Sometimes, okay, this is kind of a crazy story. I was watching an astrologer talk about a certain energy. And I was like, this planetary energy is off. Go into meditation. The mother's like, you have to go in and you have to clear a certain portion of energy. There were a lot of parasitic entities and archonic energies with like a false, like that false energy, blocking people from being able to communicate and commune with their spirit team, their spirit guides, their ancestors. They were like creating this false barrier. So I went in, I cleared it out. I went back 2 weeks later and listened to the same video. And all of a sudden the energy shifted and it was more positive. So I literally changed the timeline. Do I believe that it was just me? Once again, no. I'm sure that there were other people that got the message and we worked together on that. But I have seen timeline shifts and have been directed to go beyond just universal energy, to go into primordial energy, to go into source energy, because all those energies are simply just a reflection of what's going on with the collective energy. So it's like sometimes you'll be directed to check out what's going on with the collective. Okay, this energy is in alignment to use. Okay, work with this moon cycle. All right, it's a new moon. Let's go. It's a full moon, and this is a really powerful portal. Use it, you know? But then other times I'll get the energy of like, hold up, you have to shift this. Hold on. This is not a good energy for the planet. This is not a good energy I really don't even call this a planet. I just call it a realm. I'm like, it's just a realm, because even within this realm, it's multidimensional. So whatever you are tuning into and tapping into, that's what's going to be reflected back in your reality. So, and I like the multidimensional spectrum. I kind of like a little bit of everything. I like a little flavor with my reality. I don't want everything to be boring all day, you know?
Right, absolutely. All right, I got one more question.
Okay.
This is from Fate. This is, are all entities balanced, or all ancient entities balanced? And if not, why?
You are an ancient entity. Are you balanced?
Good question.
That's the thing. You are. I always call you the Magic Man.
Yeah.
We all got our he's the Magic Man. That's how I always see you. But like, we all got our human side and our unbalanced stuff that is coming up to be healed from the shadow. But then we have these moments where we realize, wow, I didn't know I was that powerful. I had my own higher self come to me and talk to me one day, and she's like, I don't even know what you are. Freaked me out. Freaked out. I was like, in my head, like, nah, this can't be real, because I'm really humble. So like, I don't want, like, my higher self was like, hey, tap me on the shoulder. Hey, by the way, while you're in this type of mood and you want to channel and stuff right now, I don't know what you are. You're older than me. I'm like, what? What do you mean I'm older than you? You're supposed to be helping me. Freaked out. So it brings you to a certain level of, okay, I have to be responsible for myself then. So we are ancient. We're not always balanced.
Right.
And as we just keep balancing, realigning, and tuning in with the self, that's when we operate in I'll call it our most in alignment energies. And it's depending on you. Not everybody wants to learn how to live 1,000 years or how to become this, this really amazing being that like is breaking physical boundaries, literally. Not everybody wants to do that.
Right.
Some people just want to be good to their family and like have kids and like live a regular life. That's okay too.
Right.
You don't need to be the most powerful. By the way, power, guess where your power comes from? Healing. Look, I say the same thing all the time. I feel like a broken record sometimes, because I'm like, they're like, how do I get powerful like you? I'm like, first of all, I'm not the most powerful. You are. You are the most powerful. We all are. Second of all, you got to heal. That is literally, and healing, it's not even really healing, it's revealing. All it is clearing the filters, aligning with the self. Right. There really is no such thing as healing, because everybody, but that's a topic for another day. But yeah, it's really just realigning.
Gotcha. So if anyone wanted to contact you for like your services, or, you have a YouTube channel, right? That's going to be in the description box. But how would someone that's also going to be in the description box, just tell the audience how they would be able to get in touch with you? You're like hiring you.
I have the link to my booking page, but if you have any questions or anything, you guys can totally you can email me. Aiiyah, AIIYAH.awakens, spelled exactly how it sounds, at gmail.com. Because sometimes people will email me, or if you're on social media and you want to find me on all that stuff is on my YouTube anyway, all my social media links, YouTube or whatever, hit me up all the time with questions. I don't have an issue with that. I really don't. I try to make myself as available as I can.
Yeah.
But and it's not even just help, it's just assistance. It's just us working together to remember who we are again.
Right,
know?
right.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for joining me today. Hopefully you'll come back and we do this again sometime.
absolutely. This was so much fun. I knew it was going to be though.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And remember, everything for Aiiyah to contact Aiiyah is going to be on the description link. I am Magick Lacroix. That's Aiiyah Montero. I want to thank her for coming, and hopefully y'all have a good rest of your week. And do you have any final thoughts?
I think everything that needed to be said was said.
Okay.
I feel good.
And then with that, namaste, y'all. Peace. We are out of here.